Hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to this live Employers Masterclass from the Changing Education Group. This is an opportunity for employers to give you, the students, a real insight into the world of work. Joining me today is Carl Skinner, who's a massive part, who's a HSBC, he works for HSBC, and a massive part of George, I beg your pardon, George, George Skinner, a massive part of George's role at HSBC is to educate customers in any way possible, from how to make the most of their banking products to assisting customers with internet banking. HSBC is a British multinational banking and financial service organization. HSBC International Network comprises of 7,500 offices in over 80 countries and territories in Europe, in the Asia Pacific region, in the Americas, the Middle East, and Africa. George, a warm welcome to you. Of course, apologies there. I was talking to your colleague Carl earlier in the week, and before we came on air, we were talking of the interview with Carl, and Carl propped up again. There we go. Does he do that a lot with you?
He tends to all the time.
He's always taking the limelight, is he?
Always.
Well, he did that again today. Apologies for that. Great to have you here, George. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Carl was here for the first live session we had in the week, and it's great that we've got you here for the last live session of the week. So, you're finishing it off for us all today. So great to have you here. George, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at HSBC, and what the past year's been like for you.
Yeah, so the past year it's been definitely an interesting one for us and for everyone alike. I'm sure it's been a lot of change. We've gone from one thing to another very quickly and had to adapt quite a lot within the year, from what we can do for our customers and what we can do ourselves. But my role at HSBC is a universal banker, which it sounds very fancy, but it's really not. Essentially means we can do most of the things that can be offered around in the retail banking industry. So we're trained to do kind of everything retail banking for our personal customers, and then assist with our business customers at the same time. So it's kind of it's a bit of everything, really. So we kind of get involved with whatever we can and help wherever we can.
Do you come face to face with customers, or is it remotely?
Yeah,
done?
day in, day out, face to face customers. I've just literally finished with one before I came on here with you. So that is the largest part of the role is with our customers. Some that you have as long-term customers that you'll see regularly, and then some that could be a walk-in that's just turned up this afternoon and had something they need doing.
Yeah, I like the new attire, the new flex at HSBC. Is this something that the brand's changing to, going for the casual?
Well, it's kind of we're still in a little bit of an in-between phase. It's kind of some of the time it's in the casual stuff, some of the time it's in the suit still, but it's moving that way definitely. I think in the future we'll have a lot more of the casual stuff. Some of our branches have it permanently, and some of us we do it just on Fridays and other days of the week. But I quite like the idea of going to work in your suit and you're in work mode. Then there's something about being in the casual that means I feel a little bit more relaxed, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or not.
Which one do you prefer?
I think I prefer the suit, but not at the moment. The air conditioning is not working in here, and it's very hot.
Yeah, so definitely when the aircon's not working, having the casual definitely,
much better.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the way banking is changing these days, there's a lot of online banking, mobile banking. Do you find that you have to do a lot more support in that area? Is that something?
Definitely, it's definitely becoming the main service channel for the majority of customers. If I look at myself as an individual as well, I would say that's definitely the area that I use the most as a customer. It's the easiest, the most convenient, as well as being just as safe as any other channel that customers can use. So it's definitely going that way, and it will keep going that way in the future. There's no turning back now, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say your app is one of the hardest to get into. I remember trying to help my auntie out. It was harder to get into Fort Knox than.
But we take that as a positive and a negative. We want it to be we want it to be safe, but we don't want it to be
Yeah,
too complicated that you can't quite manage to get in.
yeah. So tell me about your own personal journey. How did things start for you as that 16-year-old, as most of our audience will be between that
Yeah.
16 to 18, and just, thinking about the future and what the plans were?
So at 16, I was where was I? I would have been just going into sixth form. So I did my 2 years at sixth form. Finished that when I was 18. Um, and I had a position lined up at another organisation that I was meant to be going to straight from sixth form, which that didn't end up happening. And I was kind of left then with the decision as to what do I do. Kind of going forward, I was a little bit stuck myself at that point, saying, well, what do I really want to go and do? And I think I made the decision quite early that I didn't want to go to university. I kind of had it always in my head that I wanted to go out and start working as soon as I could. And then the opportunity to come and work for HSBC came up, and I went through the process of applying, and here I am now. 3 years later, and I'm still here.
That's fantastic. And, I'm sure, when you reflect back and you think about those times when, you weren't sure what was going to happen, it's difficult at that point. But then
Yeah,
now in hindsight, you can see that, you know what, thank goodness I went through that because I feel more confident. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good position. Would that be the case?
yeah, exactly that. It's a scary time at first when you kind of have that thought of, well, what am I going to do? What do I actually do now? School's finished. You're kind of done, and it's when you've had something like a lot of people have something lined up in terms of either university or an apprenticeship or a job straight from school, and I kind of found myself in that position where I was like, okay, well, now you need to kind of reassess what's going on. And in hindsight, when you look back on it now, blessing in disguise, because I'm fortunate enough to be in this position. And yeah, like I say, it was definitely a good thing, although it didn't necessarily seem it at the time, but it's worked out well in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you took a gamble on yourself. You believed in yourself and you took that chance. You pretty much got rid of the safety net. And, where did that confidence come from? What was the process in leading up to that?
Well, I don't know, I'd always had it in me that I thought I didn't want to go to university as much as I think I'd have loved the social side. I don't know as though I wanted. It wasn't for me. I didn't think it was going to fit with what I wanted to do, and I kind of decided that I wanted to get out and start earning and start my career as quickly as I could. Which obviously isn't for everyone, and everyone makes their own decision in that sense. No one can, as much as people will try and give you the best advice in the world, it ultimately has to come down to what you want to do as a person. And then I think I was in a position where I didn't get the grades for the role that I already had lined up. So it kind of threw me at that point. I'd kind of coasted through the previous 6 months thinking, oh, well, I'm sorted. I know what I'm doing. And then to be put in the position where you have to put yourself out there again and try and go for something different, you have no choice really but to take a punt on yourself, because otherwise you're going to go around in circles. So it was kind of the case. You have nothing to lose, so you may as well go head first into something.
Yeah, and I like how you've put that forward to us. You took that chance because you had your back against the wall. It was just to go with it. You've got nothing to lose. But still, I can imagine that must have been scary. And also, when I hear you talk, you sound as though you're someone very mature, even at that stage, very young, but very self-aware. Is that something that's always been in your nature? Have you always been self-aware? Have you always been, self-conscious, knowing who you are, what you want to do, and knowing where your strengths are? Because I think that's one of the other things, isn't it? It's knowing what your strengths are and what you're not so good at. Just being honest with yourself and saying, uni's not going to work for me. It's not who I am. The route that I need to take is this other route, rather than giving into the pressure of, say, family, teachers, and other external factors. That's just self-awareness and having the confidence to take that decision.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing when making any sort of decision like that is that you've got to go with what you think. What everyone else thinks is great, and you need to put it into your mind as kind of like an afterthought as such. But the overriding decision has to come from you. What you want to do. You're never going to be happy with the decision you make if you weren't the one that ultimately made it. So I kind of pushed everything else to the side for a while and said, look, what do I want to go and do? Where do I think I'll be best, and where do I think I can go on to do better things and play to your own strengths? Because if you put yourself in a position where your weaknesses are there, then obviously you're going to come unstuck a little bit. You may as well play to your strengths, and that's what I tried to do, and fortunately it's worked out in the end.
Yeah, and again, when I think about that time, for you to come to that decision, it takes a lot of time to think about what you do want to do. We can be distracted by so many things that happen around us, whether you're on your Xbox or whatever it is. How did you get rid of those distractions and put that focus on yourself and say, I just need to think about where I am, what do I need to do next? What did you go through?
Well, I was quite fortunate at the time I didn't see it as fortunate, but I found out that I hadn't got the other job whilst I'd literally just got off a plane and I was on holiday, and I just found out that I hadn't got it, and I was then stuck with 2 weeks on holiday where you thought, right, I'm going to be a bit down for this 2 weeks. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I spent the first couple of days kind of thinking, well, where do I go? What do I do? I put all of my eggs in that basket, and now it's been taken away from you. So I had to reset, and it took a few days to get your head around it. And then after that, I kind of put my mind to, well, I had nothing else to do as such. You're on holiday, and there was nothing else going on. You weren't with your mates. I was just with my family, and it's kind of like, well, you may as well start looking at what you're going to do. And I sat down with my family, and we had a chat about it, and came to the conclusion that I may as well try and get out there and do it as quickly as I could. So whilst I was away, I was looking at my potential options, and it was great to have a couple of weeks away without any distractions, because I don't know as though I would have come to that decision as quickly as I did if I was at home, because you'd have had all of your mates around, you'd have been trying to do this, that and the other, and things get in the way. But it's ultimately a case of looking at what you want to achieve from something, and then going for it and putting that into place. Yeah,
and would you say that is, you clearly learned something and you've developed skills from that. Would you say that you feel more confident if you're in a position like that again to make a clear decision in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's perfect in a perfect bit of learning for if you get something that doesn't quite go your way, whether it be something big like that or something as small as you made a mistake, you got something wrong. It's how you then recover and move on from that. Even from the short experience we've had in the last 3 years of working here, that is one of the biggest skills that you can use is having an ability to bounce back from something. If you do something wrong once, make sure you don't do it again. And you learn from it, and you build on it, and you ultimately become better at your job from that.
Yeah, great life lesson there.
Yeah.
So if a student was to come on work placement, what would they be doing with you?
So it'd range from, it depends on the day of the week, the day of the month, or the month of the year. It can be totally different depending on how busy we are, what kind of customers we've got coming through the door. But it would be, I'd put it back into normal times where we weren't in a pandemic, because it's slightly different now, and you wouldn't quite get the proper feel for it. But you would essentially be servicing your customers in any way possible. So whether it be providing them with lending solutions that fit with what they're looking for, providing them with any other sort of banking product, or simply answering any questions that they've got, as well as then working as part of a team to obviously make sure that this area of the business is performing as well as it can.
Yeah, and I know that a big part of HSBC's philosophy is customer service, putting the customers first, but also working closely with colleagues. What does that mean? How do you guys put that into practice?
Essentially, I'd say that I'd agree. It's a massive part of what we do is working as a team. You've got a group of people around you who do various different things, and you all become much better when you decide to work together. If you were to try and do everything on your own, you would have very little success because there's far too much to know and to learn and to be able to be an expert at everything. Different people specialise in different areas for a reason. It's a case of I might be better at one thing and Carl might be better at another thing, and it's a case of using that to then get to the best outcome ultimately for both the business and the customer. It's the two main focuses in it, is to make sure that the customer's happy, but also it works as a business decision as well.
Yeah, and do you find it's easy to reach out to colleagues like Carl and say, "Hey, look, I need your help on this"?
Fortunately, me and Carl have quite a good friendship, so especially in that sense, me and him are pretty good at reaching out to each other. But as a wider team, it is very easy. It's kind of been instilled in you from very early on in your career that everyone's there to help you, and if you do need anything, reach out. It's never a bad thing to reach out. You're always essentially, that is what you're encouraged to do, and we'd rather reach out to someone, and even if it means someone else taking over that particular task, if that gets the best outcome, then we would rather do that.
Yeah. Can you help us answer this age-old question? What's more important, working hard or working smart?
Smart.
And why is that?
Don't work hard if you can work smart. If you can do something with the same outcome in half the time, then do that. It's the same as running 10 lengths of a football pitch for the same outcome as 2. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If I can go to someone who can help me do it half as quickly, I'll do that. I'd rather not waste double the time doing something. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I think you make a good point. I remember someone telling me, giving me an analogy and telling me a story about their son. They'd taken him to a toy shop and they'd sat on one of toy halls and they were there for hours. By the end of it, they were sweating, and he looked at his son and thought, "You've been there for ages and you're sweating like that and you haven't gone anywhere." And it reminded him, in life, sometimes people do that. They're just working hard, sweating, and it seems as though they're being busy, but yet it didn't amount to much. Yet there's other people that seem to do very little, but it actually ends up meaning a lot more. So that working smart definitely works.
Yeah, it's definitely it's that comment of you want to. It's quality over quantity. It doesn't matter how much you're doing as long as it's the right stuff. You'd rather see one quality piece of work over 10 pieces of work that are subpar. It's definitely, the smarter you can work, it allows you to work harder but get better results. You want to do both really, because you want to work hard because you want to progress yourself and do the best you can, but do it in a smart way.
That's a great piece of advice. I'll leave that question there. So tell me what you enjoy doing the most.
At work?
Yes, at work, sorry.
At work. I would say my favourite part is the long-term customers that you get. You get to build a great relationship with some of your customers who now, for me, 3 years later, still call on me for everything they could need to. So from the beginning of their relationship with us, which may well have been 3 years ago, to now, the only real point of contact they've ever had is myself, and they now wouldn't go anywhere else for that. And I think that's my favourite part, is when you get those really solid relationships with the customer and they will continually come back to you, and it makes what you're doing for them so much more enjoyable because of that relationship that you've got with them.
Yeah, you're certainly in the right place. You know, you're getting great satisfaction in helping your customers, and it means more to you than just somebody coming in, especially those relationships that you've built over the years. What advice would you offer to someone watching this who wants to go into what you're doing and is still thinking about their options?
What advice would I give? I would probably say your grades are definitely important, because getting through the door is a hard part. That was what I found. Getting your foot through the door is definitely the hardest part, because it's so competitive now, getting your foot through the door. But once you're in, it's all about the results that you can then provide. It's all about how hard you're willing to work, but also how good you are at your job, and it's putting yourself in a position to be good at your job. You're not going to come in and be great straight away. No one expects someone to come in and be amazing at something straight away, but it's doing what you can to improve yourself that really stands out to people. So offering yourself up to learn anything, but asking the correct people for advice and for tips, it shows to especially your boss and their boss that you are willing to learn, and that you are willing to take the appropriate steps to move forward. Whereas you may have someone doing the same thing as you, but they're working hard, but they're not necessarily willing to learn and make those steps to improve themselves. And that will definitely show in the long run, whether that be when it comes to bonus time at the end of the year, or when it comes to moving on to the next role. People remember stuff like that, as well as once you're in a position to offer the advice yourself, to put yourself out there as a contact for anyone else joining, that then they can use you as a source of knowledge, because you know exactly what they're going through.
Yeah. And how do you get your foot in that door? What tips can you give?
What makes you different is, I think, is the best one. People are gonna, when someone's interviewing, they're gonna see, I don't know, hundreds of CVs on the table, but what makes you better than the rest? What stands out? What's going to make someone look at a pile of CVs and say this one's definitely moving forward? Once you're in the room with someone, you can impress in the room. You can nail the questions they answer, and you can have great examples for everything. But you've got to get yourself in the room first. So find something that makes yourself stand out, and really play on it as much as you can. Because as long as you're getting yourself in the door, then it's in your hands. You can do what you will with that. Some people will excel in like an interview scenario, and some won't, which is where you can then really, really shine. Yeah,
incredible. What are your predictions for Sunday's game?
Well, I'm nervous. I can't lie. I'm very nervous, but I'm thinking it's going to be 2-0 England. I'm confident. Yeah. I'm confident, but I'm nervous at the same time.
Exactly. It's coming home. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, George. Is there any way that we can connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn or anything like that?
I am. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So yeah, you can find me on there, George Skinner, on LinkedIn. So you can see us on there.
Fantastic. George, it's been an absolute joy just sharing your company this afternoon. You've shared some incredible words of wisdom, taking those chances. But first of all, just being so self-aware, knowing who you are, so giving yourself the time to think about your life and your future. You were put in a very difficult decision, something that you went for. That opportunity didn't manifest. It just seemed that your world had turned upside down coming back from a holiday. But you had to plan and think about the future, and you took that time out. You sought good counsel from your family and from people you trusted, and you really took the time to think about your future, and you made that decision, and you haven't looked back ever since. You trusted your instincts, you went with it, you got your foot in the door, and once you got in there, you excelled by being willing to learn and show yourself how great you are. And thank you so much for showing and sharing that example for us here today. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
And also to you, our audience, it's been an absolute joy having you guys with us in this week of virtual work experience. It's been an incredible week. There's so much that's happened with the activities. Thank you so much to all of you for sending in your reflections and what the videos have meant and how it's helped you. So again, I'm sure this interview here with George Skinner as well has stood out for you. Do send in your thoughts as well and let us know what you thought of it. If you haven't submitted needs your project brief, please do get it into us before 5 p.m. today. And of course, your elevator pitch as well. We'll look forward to receiving those as well. So again, thank you from myself, Amos Madra, and all the team here at the Change in Education Group. It's been an absolute joy having you guys on our virtual work experience. We wish you all the very best. Take care. Bye-bye.